This is balding on a budget. All right, so we are making the crowd favorite, bar none, best cookie on Bon Appetit, the brown butter and toffee chocolate chip cookies by my main man, Rick Martinez. These cookies are probably the most notable dessert on Bon Appetit. Man, y'all remember when the biggest controversy that website has was whether or not Chris's cookies were good? Whew! Those are the good old days. Anyways, these cookies kick ass, and I have actually cooked them before, and I read through the recipe the whole way, so I'm not gonna forget the tomato paste. I'm gonna use all-purpose flour. I'm gonna use white sugar. These are things that when it comes to making cookies, I'm not gonna switch around to save a couple bucks. You know, you could go and get like fancy eggs, you can get heirloom eggs or whatever. Do they make heirloom eggs? 2 eggs in a whole recipe that makes 16 cookies. Like, I'm gonna use normal eggs. So really the only thing that we're gonna be changing around is the things that are mentioned in the name. Brown butter, the toffee, and the chocolate chips. Chocolate chips, we've got the Ghirardelli wafers. This bag costs just over $5, and we've got standard store brand chocolate chips. Total cost just over $3. For the toffee, the recipe recommends Score, $1.50. Alternatively, I got the Big Heath bar. Now this thing in total is $2.80. But on a per ounce basis, this is $1.06 per ounce, whereas this is 69 cents per ounce. Nice. Butter, we've got our standard store brand butter. This works out to $3.49 a pound. This is $3.50 for half a pound. So for the most part, we're working with 2 sets of ingredients, one of which are about half as expensive as the other. And we'll see what comes out better. And listen, for all of you who are like, oh, baking is a science, it's alchemy, you need to have it all the right levels. You can't cut it in half and have it be the same if you cook it 2 different ways. I never said I was a good cook.
Begin by chopping your chocolate toffee bars into 1/4-inch pieces before setting aside. Over medium heat, brown your 1 cup of butter, swirling often for about 5 to 8 minutes until it foams, and talk to yourself.
So it's hard to see from there, but the more expensive butter is definitely browning a lot quicker.
Once browned, pour the butter off into a separate bowl to cool for about 10 minutes. In another bowl, begin to whisk together 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, which is the orange stuff in the fridge if you get confused like me, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of kosher salt.
Now everyone on YouTube has some kind of whisk catchphrase, so I want to make sure that mine is original. So anyways, wang jangle your tiny whisk to give it whiskey business, and you should be good to go.
Add 1/3 of a cup of white sugar to the bowls with the butter in it, and 1 cup of packed dark brown sugar. Pack it and get that satisfying sound. This should take about 1 minute to incorporate on medium speed with a stand mixer, after which you're going to add 2 eggs and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. What you're looking for is a really pale tan color, which tells you that you're ready to add the dry ingredients. After adding the dry ingredients, you want to mix on low speed, and it should only take about a minute to incorporate. Now, if you don't have an extremely overpriced stand mixer, you can do the same with a hand mixer. It'll just take about 5 minutes of mixing as opposed to 1. Once everything is incorporated, make sure to add the eggs and vanilla, but don't screw up the one-handed crack. Once they're added, keep mixing, and keep mixing, and keep mixing, and scrape down the sides, and keep mixing, and you'll know it's done when it has that same tan color with a stringy appearance. Make sure you give it a taste before adding the chopped toffee from before, and 1.5 cups of chocolate chips or wafers. The dough is going to need about 30 minutes to hydrate, so let it sit. Maybe take a second taste. Maybe a third. Once hydrated, ball out your cookie doughs using a 1-ounce ice cream scoop and place them on a parchment paper-lined baking sheet about 3 inches apart from each other. Do not flatten them and top with flaky sea salt. They will spread on their own. Throw them into a 375-degree oven to bake for 9 to 12 minutes. If your oven is famously uneven, as mine is, make sure to rotate once in the middle of cooking. After about 9 to 12 minutes, they should be done. Pull them out and let them cool on the sheets for 10 minutes before transferring to a wire rack. The expensive ones got a little dark, but the cheap ones are looking good.
So these are the cookies with the more expensive butter, chocolate, and toffee, whereas these are the less expensive. Obviously, a lot more color and spreading on these could honestly be due to the butter. I think they were on the lower rack on the oven for longer. I had enough batter left over to make 3 of each. They just baked all in the same tray, so this is due to the oven. We'll see that, but we're gonna give these a taste first. Yep, that's burnt. Like, as far as burnt cookies go, they're pretty good, but I think just being on the lower rack of the oven gave them way too much heat, being that close to the heating element at the bottom. So we'll get to try the other ones. Now, these ones. Okay. Ooh. Excuse me? All right, so first and foremost, not fair to compare these right now. We're gonna try the other ones, but the chocolate is better in here. Higher quality chocolate, I mean, that's kind of expected. And the heat, so much better than the score. Like the toffee flavor in here and that like crisp, like shatter that you get in there, so good. Here's the real deal. Oh, let me squat. We've got the more expensive butter chocolate toffee, not burnt this time. Really, really good. The only thing I can think of that caused it to spread this much is the different butter. To me, it just makes it too crispy. Like, there's no chew in the middle at all. The only time you get chew is with the chocolate. All right, let's go for the less expensive version. Oh, what? What? Okay. Connor, they're so good. They're so good. They're so good. Yes. Hell yes. Really was looking forward to the first recipe where the cheaper version was better. If you're gonna splurge on anything in this recipe, go for the chocolate wafers over the chocolate chips. If you can't get score, no problem. Honestly, Heath is better for me. You know, when I have toffee, like I want it to stick to my teeth. I wanna wait till no one's looking at me so I can get in there with my fingernail and pick it out. Butter, doesn't matter. I would say the expensive butter is a drawback, actually. Go with your store brand butter. But honestly, this cookie is just strictly better. There's nothing equal between these two cookies, much like the pay scale at Condé Nast. Yes, cheap version, fully endorsed. Here's Ash.